You are nervous about the Oscars on Sunday?
Not at all, no. I think because, I mean, to be fair, I think everybody kind of knows that Christoph Waltz is going to win. Though I did talk to somebody yesterday, and we did kind of say, like, if I had the courage, it might be funny to be the first person in history to, when the other guy's name is announced, go,
I'll truly go up to you right now.
Yeah, don't do it because I might. That's as little as it might take for me to do that. But I mean, it might get taken the wrong way.
Matt Damon. He's one of Hollywood's hardest-working, most intelligent celebrities. But these qualities alone don't guarantee box office success.
I hope I'm not giving the impression that I'm complaining about anything, because I wouldn't want to do that.
Instead of chasing big-budget blockbusters, Damon prefers roles that push his limits as an actor. But is he driven by passion for his craft, or is he consumed with impressing his Hollywood idols?
I feel like I'm living somebody else's life. You know, really, I mean, it's...
Go! I love those spontaneous moments.
He's the man.
Yeah.
The American legend himself.
From the start, he has been an actor's actor.
Matt Damon is not doing this for the fame. He is in it for the craft. He's worked with some of the biggest names in Hollywood, but he doesn't stop at that. He really seems obsessed with proving himself.
This is the king right here, the master.
He'll do whatever it takes to round out a character and bring that character to life, and that's a sign of a true actor.
We lived in San Antonio for a month before the movie, just, you know, working with the horses all day, every day, and doing that.
Well, I was actually the only one who wore the real plates, and they're very heavy. I was really kind of sensitive to the fact that I was going to be working with real soldiers, so I didn't want to be the actor who couldn't keep up at all. So, no, I had a lot. I mean, I had things in my cheeks that plumped my cheeks out a little bit, and a fake nose. So I think they can actually stop an AK-47.
He's definitely not your typical actor when it comes to preparing for his roles.
This is a guy who lost a tremendous amount of weight, something like 40 or 50 pounds, to take on a role in Courage Under Fire.
Almost killed myself when I was on, you know, and I'm proud of that performance still, you know. I mean, I haven't seen it in years, but I just remember how it felt when I did it, because I was so messed up that it was really real, and none of them even mentioned me.
It's interesting that Matt Damon wasn't really upset with himself for nearly killing himself. He was upset that nobody took notice and gave him any credit for it.
I think so much of acting is about control. How much more controlling can you get than to turn into someone else?
It was not only about making the character as real as possible, but I think it was to show studios, fellow actors, that he's for real.
Steve, I found out later, had seen Courage Under Fire and had liked the performance but thought I was too thin. And so when he saw me, he kind of did a double take. He said, "Weren't you in Courage Under Fire, but you were thinner?" And I said, "Yeah, well, I lost the weight." And he kind of registered that, and 2 weeks later, I got the phone call.
I lost a lot of weight for the talented Mr. Ripley also, but I'm not allowed to lose that much weight again, because the guy said the good news is your heart didn't shrink, but you taxed just about every other organ in your body, so you can't do that again, or you're really running a serious risk.
He thinks if he hasn't suffered enough, it can't be real, and so I think he loves putting himself in extreme positions and having to see if he can cope with the challenge.
I mean, because there's that question of what continually drives Matt Damon. If it was just the approval of the audience, well, he has that. He's a star. But obviously there's something that is inside still pushing him further.
Definitely a calculated risk throughout Matt's career to always be changing his physical appearance.
Going to those extremes eventually paid off, and that's what discipline is.
Matt Damon has shown that he not only has a burning desire to work with Hollywood's elite, he's willing to push his body to its physical limits to achieve that goal. But in what is perhaps the world's most competitive industry, why is Damon so driven to succeed?
They always talk about how Hollywood's like high school, and you kind of come up with your class. And for Matt, it was being around guys like Ed Norton and Chris O'Donnell and Matthew McConaughey. These guys had a lot of success around the time that Damon was struggling, was trying to get leading man roles, but was losing out to these guys.
Was there ever an acting role that you didn't get that you really wanted?
Sure, a lot. I think I got close on Primal Fear, the one that Edward got, and was great in. Where I met Gus was the role in To Die For, and I auditioned for him, and I got really close to that role. But Joaquin did, and Joaquin, you know, in both those cases, like, you know, I look back on those movies and I go, you know, well, the right person got the role. You know what I mean?
I think intelligence is key to Matt Damon and as an actor.
He was 2 semesters shy of graduating Harvard, and that intelligence just gave him a total edge over the competitors.
You speak very eloquently. You're at Harvard right now.
English major, yeah.
Is it difficult balancing the two?
Definitely. I mean, I have trouble. I have trouble like doing both because you can't do both at the same time. So it's like either one or the other. So I just wait. Essentially, if there's something that is going to drive me away from Harvard that I feel like it's worthwhile, I'll do it. So this was certainly a case where I felt like I could drop out and feel good about myself doing it. So.
Well, the thing about Matt Damon in his early career, he was working, but he wasn't getting great roles, and neither was his good friend Ben Affleck. They figured, well, if I'm not going to get the kind of roles that I want, I better write it myself.
We were writing Good Will Hunting because it was becoming more and more clear that a great role wasn't going to drop out of the sky, that we were going to have to kind of do it ourselves. So we sold it, and the next day it was on the front page of Variety. And I remember driving to the magazine stand on the corner of La Brea and Santa Monica, and we bought every single one of the daily varieties and sent them home. And it was the first time, you know, our name had ever been in lights. We sent it back like, look, we're not total failures.
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck winning the Oscar for Good Will Hunting was the feel-good story of that year. Got up on stage and were genuinely thrilled, and you could see the excitement and the shock.
Any advice for them, or that this
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if they want to listen,
yeah, really. I think we're qualified to give advice.
Yeah, and that's the real thing. I mean, I don't necessarily think I'm qualified to give anybody advice, but I would say keep doing what you're doing and work hard.
With an Oscar win for Good Will Hunting, Matt Damon finally arrived. But sudden stardom doesn't assure lasting success.
I think the decision that Ben and I made really early on is we don't want to micromanage an image.
How did Damon manage to stay true to himself and build a respectable career in the face of Oscar-sized expectations?
People always say, wow, you work a lot, and I don't feel that way. I don't feel, I've never felt like it's work. There've been a couple times where I have been in a situation with, and I took a job I probably shouldn't have taken, and those felt like work. But that's not a mistake. I mean, knock on wood, that's not a mistake I think I'll make again, and as a result, I just really feel like great about, well, I don't feel like I'm working, you know, so I like it all, I guess.
With exceptional intelligence and a deep passion for his craft, Matt Damon has earned his place among the Hollywood elite. But in an industry ruled by box office dollars, critical acclaim isn't always enough to sustain a lasting career. How does Matt Damon remain one of Tinseltown's most in-demand actors while keeping his artistic integrity intact?
How is your life changing?
Well, it actually hasn't yet. I mean, because the Rainmaker has just opened this weekend, and I haven't been outside of the hotel yet, so I don't know if anybody's going to recognize me. And I've never been recognized on the street before, so, you know, I walk down the street, and if somebody kind of sees me, they'll say, you know, did I go to high school with you? So, you know, that's what I get all the time. Yeah, so.
One of those faces.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then that's your answer. I guess I just have one of those faces, you know. Or a lot of people tell me I look just like their little brother.
Push the button.
Oh, push the button, all right. This is my first time doing this. I can't actually believe that all you people are going to listen to what I have to say.
Sudden fame for a young actor can go really well or tremendously downhill. After Good Will Hunting, Ben Affleck kind of stepped up to the plate of being, Hollywood's, newest bright star, and Matt Damon rode under the radar.
Sometimes for an actor, it actually helps and for your career to develop over time. You're not shot out of a cannon and expected to start carrying a movie straight away.
Once Ben and I were offered work, our whole philosophy was just, take it, take the best thing that's there and do it, because we went for so long where nobody was offering us anything, and well, we've been lucky. We've gotten some good movies.
Here you go, here you go.
I think he's intentionally kept his private life private. I never feel like, oh God, Matt Damon again. Like, I'm always interested in what he's doing.
That's what we've all learned in the Facebook age, right? That we all want people to know about our lives, but only the things that we want to tell them.
So who are you dating now? I just like to bring that up out of nowhere.
Did you? Yeah. That scared the hell out of me. I never talk about anything.
Is that one of the lessons you've learned from talking with people like me?
Yeah, well, I learned it years ago, actually. A couple years ago. Yeah, I haven't talked about anything for, and I won't. I mean, because I was dating somebody in a year, then, and I went no comment, and you go, oh, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
So I just said, well, I never talk about it.
Matt Damon actually seems like a real man because he doesn't, want to be in the spotlight.
Look, there's a couple ways you can do it, and I think the decision that Ben and I made really early on is we don't want to micromanage an image. It's just, I don't want to spend my time doing that, trying to control what people think about me. I just want to focus on doing the best work that I can and then enjoying my life. And if that means I go get on, a 10-foot soft top surfboard and make a total ass of myself because people are taking pictures, that's fine. I'm not going to let that keep me from doing stuff with my kids or doing stuff that's fun. And I think, we've gotten away with it in the sense that people go, yeah, they're just kind of normal guys.
All right, everyone smile.
Yeah.
Matt Damon's fame and really shying away from the public eye has a lot to do with his upbringing. His mother was this really liberal professor.
She's really a person of conscience, so she instilled a lot of that in my brother and I. And if there's ever a time that we're not doing if we're not doing things that are morally right, or if there's any kind of moral question to any aspect of our life, she'll take us to task for it.
And she's got to be so proud.
She is, although she's, she never she doesn't say proud. She says, I affirm him,
She is good.
She's tough. Yeah, she's tough.
How liberal is she? She doesn't say proud, she says, I affirm you.
She took this really intellectual stance on what she wanted him to be. And here he is, this public actor on the cover of magazines.
Growing up in an environment like that might be the very thing that is pushing him to continually achieve and to challenge himself.
He's been able to merge both his intellectual roots with Hollywood as, a business.
Are these silly, infamous boots that you've been wearing for 13 years now?
Yeah.
You bring them up in the interviews.
It was the first time anybody had ever written anything about me, and I was like, sat with me for, tell me to my face my boots are dorky. Right. It's a new pair.
It's a new pair.
It's the first guy who I ever did a cover story, magazine cover story called My Boots Dorky. And I remember that. I think just to spite him, I never wanted to change them. Just let it stick in my craw.
That's good to see you. Appreciate it, man.
They're coming untied, too.
The ability to stay true to himself in spite of extreme fame has allowed Matt Damon to pursue roles he's passionate about, instead of seeking the next surefire blockbuster. It's a strategy that has helped him gain the respect of his peers. It also nearly cost him his career.
He was doing interesting roles, like All the Pretty Horses, and then The Legend of Bagger Vance, but they only did so-so at the box office.
Yeah, Ocean's 11 put up huge numbers, but that didn't really help make Matt more of a box office draw on his own.
Matt Damon ultimately managed to merge commercial success with artistic integrity. He found an unlikely role that would not only garner critical acclaim, but launch a smash hit franchise that would redefine his career.
did you have the stigma of like Matt Damon really is an action star. There were a lot of reports it was a troubled production. All of these things were just poised for the movie to just be a big fat bomb. But you know what? It was awesome.
The Bourne franchise was the best of both worlds.
He brought tremendous depth and nuance to a character within this action framework.
Normal for girls to ask you to marry them and they love you and all that? Not at all. She's pretty.
It's not your typical James Bond film.
Right.
I mean, you don't have all these spy gadgets.
No, and that's what I really like about it, is that the character finds himself in this movie. Oftentimes, you know, there's no really gadget to rely on, so he's got to kind of figure his way out of things. And so that was what I really liked about the script when I read it, was how smart the guy had to be to, you know, he thinks his way out of a lot of situations in a really unique way, and that's something that I think for this type genre movie it makes it original.
Ultimately, it took an intelligent action role to reaffirm Damon's status atop Hollywood's hierarchy. But to stay on top, he can't always rely on this strategy.
Is it a little harder to do the stunts now that you're getting older and you've done it a few times?
It actually, I'm ashamed to say that it is. It's definitely, I felt more like the fight scenes. I'm just more stiff.
Can he continue to be a force in the industry without compromising his integrity? And does a promising career await behind the camera? With success of the Bourne series, Matt Damon not only reaffirmed his status as one of Hollywood's most respected actors, he cemented his position as an international movie star. But since he can't always rely on the action genre to reinvent himself, how will he continue to be a force in the industry?
Is it a little harder to do the stunts now that you're getting older and you've done it a few times?
It actually, I'm ashamed to say that it is. It's definitely, I felt more like the fight scenes. I'm just more stiff. I mean, I just have general, like, you know, my neck, my back. Just takes a little longer getting out of bed in the morning.
You know, it's not unheard of anymore to hear of a 40-year-old action star.
Other than the Bourne movies, which are kind of like adult versions of action movies, he's done movies that don't get huge box office. You know, Robert Redford movies, The Informant. That's not a movie that 1 million people are going to go and see, but it's a great, amazing story.
He's such an idol of mine because he's managed to do that. He can play Bourne, but he can also do little tiny character roles. He can be hilarious. He can do a tiny budget film. He can do a giant thing he can produce. And he's just always maintained this sense of integrity and sort of a grateful attitude about the entire business.
He's terribly bright. I think he's one of the better young actors, but because he started out as a writer, he has a great feeling for the overall picture.
Matt Damon's been saying he wants to be a director for years.
Part of the, you know, the last 5 years, I guess, I've been just a total geek on the set and henpecking the director with questions, and I kind of view it as an apprenticeship. Hopefully find something to direct eventually. It's the one discouraging thing in terms of wanting to direct, you know, for us someday, is watching somebody who's that specific and has that much attention to detail. It's like mind-boggling.
You got Ben directing a movie. How come you haven't caught the director's bug just yet?
Oh, I've got it. I've had it. Yeah, I can't. You know, I'm looking for the right piece of material. I think I'll be less choosy about my second one than my first one, and also, you know, just with everything going on in my life, and you know, having, you know, a lot of kids and stuff, and you know, taking time to do that, and then getting all these great roles. Like I haven't been able to quite stop and direct something.
What's up with that, Matt Damon? Get on that.
Matt is a good director. He just hasn't directed a movie yet. He's very gifted, smart, perceptive, you know, insightful.
I'm desperate to do it, actually. I just keep getting these jobs with these directors. I want to be Clint Eastwood, you know. I'd love to have that career. It really is the gold standard.
If he's going to be a protege of mine, he has to do his best.
Yeah, you know, you look at Robert De Niro or Clint Eastwood, guys that Damon's worked with, and they really hit a stride as directors later on in their career, and I think Matt's saving that.
I think Matt is a great observer. He see how they put together a scene.
Well, when Matt Damon gets into a role, he doesn't just get into it emotionally. He gets into it physically. You know, this is something that Robert De Niro made famous.
Like a dead weight, so they can be slowly will pull out of the shoulder socket. Here it'll start
pulling, but especially the shoulder side. So you have to, and you don't feel it, so you have to begin to get something to support it, otherwise, you know, it'll get worse and worse. And things like that, so I put, and there's no way I could really get that sensation, so I put these weights on and had them made to these very heavy sinkers.
Well, I wore the real plates, so they're very, very heavy. I mean, these guys had all been deployed and they'd all worn the real ones, so they didn't need to know what that felt like, and it was helpful for me to, you know, I like that kind of stuff, even if it's something you may never have seen or noticed. You know, just the feeling that it gives me is just helpful.
Matt Damon has always been in awe of Hollywood. Now, Hollywood is in awe of him.
One of the things that you can say about him, among all of the other good things, is he is really a hard worker.
I only have basically scenes with Matt. He's so relaxed and so confident about it that the scenes had an intimacy that's, you know, there's no sense of performing.
Then everybody always says he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but he's really one of the truly most hard-working men I've ever met, and he complains about nothing, and he's so ready to roll his sleeves up and help everybody else, and so supportive of the other actors, and he's just kind of, you know, you want him in public office. He's great.
I'm very, very lucky that I got Matt, because he turned out to be great and in every way, just as a person, someone who supported the project, who loved the project, and I was very, very lucky.
I think that McConaughey ran a very good campaign. But I'm a little hurt about Matt Damon because we've worked very hard. He worked and he wanted it so badly.
Well, I was aware of Matt because I was a big fan of Courage Under Fire. When he came over, he was just one of the guys. That's all. He was just one of the guys. He had made Good Will Hunting, and now, you know, now he's Matt Damon. But he's handling it very well.
I was never really aware, I guess, how many people watch the Oscars. It makes it tough to have a bad day, let's put it that way. If you're in the supermarket and you're kind of running errands and you're, you know, in a funk for whatever reason, you know, suddenly someone comes up and goes, "Hey man, congratulations," and it's just like, you know, some complete stranger just gave you a compliment, you know, or said, you know, "Hey, I really dug the movie," you know, and that's just, you know, it makes it hard to complain.
I just love making movies. I really, and each one's different, and each one has different challenges, and they're different directors, and they're different things to learn, and I just really dig it.